All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about the big NAR changes rolling out here in August 2024 and making sure that you are prepared and doing the things that you can start taking action on right now to ensure that you're in the best possible position, not to just survive, but to go out there and crush it and continue to thrive during these different changes. Now, I know that most of you watch or listen to this podcast are very well aware of what these primary changes are, but just in case you're not, I'll recap them super fast here. Okay, so number one, it's going to be mandated now moving forward starting August 17th, 2024. It was originally rolled out to, or supposed to be rolled out here in July. Then it got pushed back to August 17th. We'll see if that date hits, but we need to start prepping and planning for this date anyways. So then starting in August here, 2024, it's going to be mandated that you have a buyer broker agreement signed up front in place with any buyer clients before you go out there and show a single property to them. Change number two, along with that buyer broker agreement, is not only do you have to have it signed, you have to have what your fees are disclosed in that buyer broker agreement. You got to have them negotiated, agreed upon, and signed on the dotted line before, again, you can go out there and show a single property. And then we got the co-broke field going away completely from the MLS. So that's not going to be there. We're not going to know, if they're offering concessions up front, if the seller's willing to offer some element of buyer agent representation fee and whatnot there. So what I'm going to be breaking down here is 6 steps that you can start taking action on right now inside your real estate business. At least as the time of me recording this, it is May 20th. So here's the cool part is we have several months to make sure that we are prepared, and history favors he or she that's most prepared. So I want you to take this stuff seriously. And when I say take this stuff seriously, I'm not saying to go out there and lose sleep over this. I'm personally not, but I am going to take this stuff seriously so I can start prepping and preparing for this. And internally as a team, we've been spending months now really navigating on this stuff and starting to get these different things in play that I'm going to be covering with you here today. Because like I said, history favors he or she that's most prepared. You don't want to wait to start doing this stuff. These are things that you can start rolling out right now inside your business. And as I go through these 6 different things, some of them I'm going to go more in depth in. Some of them don't need me to go that in depth in, but all 6 are really important. And I'll go into the reason as to why that they're important to get dialed in inside your business. All right, so real quick, before we jump into these 6 steps to ensure that you are most prepared for these different changes rolling out. Look, if you're an individual agent, team leader, or brokerage owner, and your real estate business is not exactly where you need it to be, maybe you're operating down here, but you know your true full potential is way up here. And whether your business is declining, whether it's stagnant, maybe it's growing, just not growing at the pace that you truly need your business to grow at. If that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. This is going to be a 1-hour long Zoom coaching call with you and I, 100% free, 100% zero pressure. Well, we're going to be doing a deep dive into your own personal business, where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals and dreams, visions are for your real estate business, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are. Then from there, while we're live together on this Zoom call, I'm going to break down what my recommended strategy is to get you from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. And you have my word on this 100% on this call that I will get you dialed in. I got your back. I got you covered. I'm going to make sure to remove all elements of that any guesswork and ensure that you know exactly what you need to execute on and take action on to get from where you're at to where you want to go. So if this is something that you want to take advantage of, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Now, full disclosure on these coaching calls, because I like to be upfront with everything that I do, we're going to spend about 50 minutes getting everything dialed in that I just said. The last 10 minutes, yes, I'm going to spend a few minutes walking through what my coaching programs entail. And look, if they're fit for you, great. If not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. Everything I do, zero pressure. I'm not going to hard sell you. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to beg you. Look, if there's something that you want to move forward with, great. If not, that is okay too. You have my 100% word on the fact that, look, if you never move forward with any of my advanced paid coaching programs, that this will be a massive value to you. I promise you, we will get you dialed in. I will get you dialed in. You will not leave this free Zoom coaching call without having full clarity on what you must do to get your business to that next level, next step. Okay, so enough on that. Let's jump into, again, here talking about the 6 steps to go out there and start taking action on right now with the intel and information that we have. One of the difficult parts of all of this for all of us inside our industry has been the amount of vagueness that has been brought about with this NAR settlement. Look, I mean, the good news is they've given us some good concrete direction, but there's also been a lot of vagueness. And I get it and I understand it. I'm not trying to throw NAR under the bus. I'm sure that they have their reasons, as to why, but they've given us enough information on what we can start taking action on right now. And again, these are the 6 things that I've been personally prepping for with my real estate team here in Arizona. And I've just found that the more prepared that we are, and the more that we do our due diligence, and the more that we ensure that we are prepared and have our shit together and our things dialed in inside our business, the more successful we're able to be through transitions and changes. And I'm somebody that's been able to continue to grow and scale my real estate business for the 20 years that I've been in this industry, and continue to grow and scale regardless of the marketplace, regardless of the changes taking place. And it's not because I'm somebody special. It's not because I have some unique gift that others don't have. So because I just take this stuff seriously, and I go out there and I start taking action on these different items. Okay, so item number 1 that you can start doing right now, and this is not something that you want to wait on, this is something that you want to start taking action on right now, is making sure that you are dialing in your buyer consultation. Now, I was on a panel about a week ago here in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was exactly on this subject. So about 200 agents in the room, and I was one of the guest speakers on the panel. And, they're breaking down, exactly this, how to prepare for these changes coming about. And, the moderator asked me, well, Josh, how long have you been presenting and being really strict on your buyer consultation protocol inside your business? I'm like, for me, the answer to that has been 17 years. And I got to a point about 17 years ago in my journey. So about 3 years into my journey, about 2.5, 3 years into my journey, where I got fed up with buyers taking advantage of me that I allowed. I'm not going to say it's their fault. It was my fault, right? But you guys, if you've been in this business long enough, you had this happen to you. We're spending all this energy, time, money going out there and showing all these properties. And all of a sudden you get this buyer that ghosts you, after you've spent 2 or 3 weeks with them and you've showed them 13 properties, then all of a sudden they ghost you. Then you eventually get in touch with them. And then you come to find out that they bought a house through an open house or whatever. Well, just like all aspects of human behavior, we typically don't facilitate a change inside our own business, inside of our own life, until we get fed up to that point where we're like, hey, never will we allow this to happen again. Never will I allow myself to tolerate this behavior for myself. No longer will I allow or tolerate this behavior from others to treat me in this certain way. Well, I hit that threshold about 17 years ago. And at that point, I started treating my buyer consultation every bit as strict as my listing presentation. Now, here's the difference is starting in August, no longer are you going to have a choice for this. Now, yeah, you can go out there and try to get a buyer broker agreement signed without doing effective buyer consultation, but you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. So what do I mean by treating your buy side as strict as the list side of your business? Is just thinking and visualizing and walking through, okay, how do you treat a listing appointment? How do you treat that? My guess is, at least I hope, that you have a dedicated presentation protocol. Like you got a procedure up front where you're pre-qualifying them. When you're asking certain questions, you're selling value of the appointment. Then from there, you're setting the appointment. And then you go on that appointment and you have a procedure that you follow where you walk them through that. So like on my listing presentation, yeah, we've got, our scripts and our questions that we ask them before we set the appointment. And then we set the appointment. Then we, of course, have our prep and confirmation process. But then when we pull up to that property and knock on that door 10 minutes prior to the meeting time, okay, there's certain things that we say. We lead them with the tour process. Then after the tour's done, we get back to the kitchen table. We lead with the marketing presentation portion of letting them and informing them know how we're going to maximize exposure to their property and get the most amount of buyers through the property, explaining how it's a numbers game. So we're going through the marketing presentation, then we go through the comp portion of this, then we'll get into, after we're done with pricing, going and lead in for the close. So thinking of that on the same way on the buyer consultation portion of this. And I'll quickly, go through my buyer consultation element of this. But at a very high level, one thing I want you to understand, the whole point of the buyer consultation and a listing presentation as well, but a buyer consultation, a very high level for you and I inside of a real estate business, is to ensure that we're working with and weeding out those that are ready, willing, able, and committed. So ready, willing, able, and committed. So ready meaning, okay, there's an element of urgency. These are people that need our services. Like we can go out there and help them. They're not just looky-loos that are, just wanting to waste 2 years of our time showing property. Because if you don't make sure throughout your presentation process that they're ready, okay, you're going to get that, and you're going to get people that abuse your time. So making sure that they're ready, right? Then from there, making sure that they're willing, like, are they willing to do what it takes to go out there and find a property based on this different market conditions? And that can differentiate based on the different economic climate and different market that we're in. But let's just say you're in a hyper competitive, low inventory market, which I know a lot of you are right now. And you get a buyer that's like, yeah, I want to go out there and buy. Like, they're ready, but they're like, hey, I'm only willing to buy a piece of property if I get at 50% of market value. Well, that might not be somebody that you're willing to go out there and help, because they're not willing to do what it takes to go out there and be successful at getting a property in this marketplace. So I want to know that up front. So making sure that they're ready, they're willing, okay, able, like, are they qualified? Are they pre-qualified? Do they have the proof of funds? Do they have the down payment? Do they have the job history? We got to make sure that they're able to move forward with this transaction. And then committed. Are they committed? The commitment goes twofold, right? Are they committed to the process, and are they committed to utilizing us as their real estate professionals? So that's what I mean by ready, willing, able, committed. So at a very high level, that's what we're looking to accomplish through this presentation for us and for our business. Now, then from there, what does a great presentation entail? So whether this is, and I'll go through and break down what my buyer consultation looks like here in a second. But at a high level, this applies to a buyer consult, listing consult, agent recruit presentation. I look at any great presentation is going to have these frameworks, these ingredients compiled into it. Okay, number one, they're going to inform and educate. They're going to inform and educate us. They're going to inform and educate, the client as well. So inform and educate. Number two, articulate your value. Number three, handle and overcome any objections. And then number four, the fourth component is lead seamlessly into the close. So in a buyer consultation aspect, this would be, okay, leading seamlessly into getting their commitment and being able to get them to sign on the dotted line that they're committing to utilizing our services during this time period of time if they choose to move forward with buying a property, right? So and I want to make sure, so when we go through those things, inform and educate, just assessing and going through when you have a presentation, if you're looking at your presentation, okay, am I doing a good job at informing and educating the consumer? Am I doing a good job at informing and educating myself on what their goals are for their real estate goals? Getting extreme clarity on what they want, why they want it, why it's important to them, because I cannot serve and support anybody at the highest possible level if I don't have extreme clarity as the professional on what their needs are, what their goals are, what's truly important to them. So are you becoming educated on what is most important to them, but are they becoming educated as well, right? That's what I mean by inform and educate. So you can do an assessment on your own presentations about, okay, am I doing a good job at informing and educating? Am I doing a great job at articulating your value as the professional? Are you doing a good job as, because here's the cool thing. One of the things I love about real estate is that we're not actually selling a physical product. Like, you don't own the real estate. I don't own the real estate. And people already sold on the fact that they want to buy and sell real estate. Or even if you're a team leader and brokerage owner, at a level like where I'm at in my real estate business, where you're primarily focused on recruiting agents and then supporting those agents to grow the overall real estate business. Agents are also already sold on the fact that real estate's the right career for them. So what we're actually selling is we're articulating that we're the best guide to get them from point A to point B. Right? So looking at this and, okay, am I doing a good job, or better yet, a great job at articulating my value on why they should choose to utilize my services versus the other bazillion realtors out there? Because there are a bazillion of us. We're in a very saturated industry. We all are. Right. Some of us more so than others, but we're in a very saturated real estate industry, right? Like, meaning that the average person knows multiple other realtors. They have a lot of different options out there. And now when the buyer broker agreement is going to be mandated before you go show a single property. So no longer can you just go out there and show a few properties, use that as a chance to build up the rapport, build up the connection, articulate your value through that, then lead into getting a buyer broker agreement signed before you write an offer, or when you write an offer. Like, that's all going away. So you got to be able to articulate your value up front to a possible potential stranger, just like we've had to on this listing side. So this is really nothing new. It's just taking, okay, what we've done on the listing side throughout our whole entire careers and now applying that to the buy side. So you can assess that. How well am I articulating my value to get them to choose me over all the other real estate professionals inside my marketplace? Then from there, handling all the different objections. Another way of thinking of objections is just concerns that people have. Right. So being able to identify what those true root objections are, AKA true root concerns are, having a conversation around those and keeping the protocol and the process moving forward. Then from there, like I said, leading it seamlessly into the close. So how do I do this in my buyer consultation? Right. Start off with a dream home form. Now that's going to be the inform and educate and also articulating value. So all of these kind of intertwine through these different things that we're trying to go out there and do. But I start off with the dream home form, so I can get extreme clarity on what they want, and also so they can get extreme clarity on what they want. What I found through selling 7,000 plus homes and doing this 20 plus years is that, look, most people don't actually have clarity on what they truly want. Or if it's a couple, they might have different things that are really important to them. So taking the time to really dive in and do a deep dive into what is truly most important to them. Because human behavior is this: people are having a pain with their current situation. They want out of that pain. They want to get to pleasure. So when they're looking to move and looking to go, get into a new living situation, that means that there's pain going on with their current living situation, and they want to get out of that pain and get to a new living situation, which is the pleasure. If they were on cloud nine, ecstatic with their current living situation, they wouldn't be going down this process in the first place. So I want to find out, what is that, those true root pains? What is that true root pleasure? So I can then do my job as the unemotional real estate professional at doing the best job I possibly can to get them from point A to point B and remove any element. Hopefully, if we're doing our job right, we'll remove any element of buyer's remorse if we're truly helping them accomplish their overall real estate goals. Okay, so I'm starting off with the dream home form, and I usually spend about 20 or 30 minutes on that. That's the most meaty portion of my buyer consultation presentation. Now, that's also articulating value. Well, how is that articulating value? When you're giving people clarity, that adds value to your services and what you're doing. Plus, this is the way I explain to my agents is, okay, you ever go to a doctor and you have you got two different experiences with two different doctors. Let's just say the one doctor that just jumps in there, is just rushing you, right? Not really, you don't feel like you're being heard. They're not listening to you. You feel like you're just a commodity, you feel like you're just a number, and we all know what that feels like in those experiences. But then you have this other doctor that walks in that room, and they're looking in the eyes. They're not rushed. They're asking questions about how you're feeling. They make you feel like you're the only patient that they've had for that whole entire day, even though they probably got a bunch of other patients in the waiting room, but they're making you feel significant. They're making you feel important. They're making you feel heard too. The deepest desire of all human beings is the feeling of significance. And when people feel like they're being heard and that you are truly listening, that's going to make them feel significant. That is going to articulate your value. So I start with that. Then I continue the inform and educate, where I do a deep dive into breaking down what the overall protocol, what the overall process is of buying a home here in the state of Arizona, in the market that I'm in. You can apply that to your own state, but I'm going through what all the timelines are, what all the contingencies are, things are protected, areas are not protected. And I'm using that to inform and educate, making sure they know their financial investment, knowing all this stuff, but using that to also articulate value, where it's like, hey, in this scenario, if we don't get this right and do this, this is what could go wrong. So I'm kind of building that up and just educating them. I'm not trying to, make them afraid, but hey, if this doesn't go right, if we slip up on this, let's just say it's an inspection period. If this goes over by 60 seconds, you've now accepted this property as is, and you forfeited your ability to go out there and ask for repairs or cancel this contract due to the inspections. And then if you do cancel, now you forfeited your earnest money. Now, so it's really important that we operate with a sense of urgency and get all this stuff done right. But I don't want you to stress about this, because this is what I'm here for. This is the importance of hiring a professional like myself. My job is to make sure all this stuff is done right, and your best interests are always looked out for, right? So we're informing, educating, but then articulating our value. Then from there, I transition into my commitment form. So before I ask for their commitment, I go through and I show them all the different things that I'm going to be doing to work my ass off for them, to work extremely hard for them to go out there and accomplish their real estate goals. I was just having a conversation with my coaching clients about this thing. I'm like, look, as an industry as a whole, I'm not saying you or I have done a poor job with this, but as an industry as a whole, we've done a poor job at articulating all the things that we do to work extremely hard for our clients out there. They have no idea, and one of the things that I've been doing that I've been finding really interesting is all this, NAR stuff has been rolling out. I've been reading all the public comments on everything that I possibly can, out there. And I'm telling you right now, it is not good. The general public does not see the value in us. They don't think that we do crap. They think that we're just door openers. They don't think that, right? So like, what are you doing to articulate your value? Okay, if somebody, like people think that, oh, well, we got the internet. We don't need realtors. We got the internet. Okay, so if a buyer ever reaches out to you and is maybe asking about XYZ property, maybe that property is no longer available and they go to, hang up on you because, they think that they can just do all their due diligence on the internet, well, just ask them, hey, are you only looking for homes that are available currently on the internet? Or are you also looking for all properties that are available for sale? So you can explore all your options out there. So I can transition into that and adding value on that, because there's a lot of things that we do and that I do internally that are going to be to try to hunt down and find them off market deals. And hopefully, if you were doing this during, some of your markets are still like this, but during that kind of post-COVID catapult, as I call it, where things just went haywire, and every property, 50, sometimes 100 offers on those properties. Well, man, we had to do a lot of, off market stuff. Like, one of the things I provide my coaching clients with is our buyer low inventory letter. It gives us a chance to go out there and, like, if the property doesn't exist, okay, I'm going to go out there and find it for them. Like, what are we doing? There's a ton of off market opportunities, expired, it's canceled, withdrawals, FISBOs, maybe office listings that are coming soon that aren't available yet, that you have awareness of agents, through agent networking that we have, wholesale deals. Like, there's all these other ways that we can go out there and find them properties that maybe they don't find on Zillow or Realtor.com or Homes.com or whatever the bazillion different internet apps that they're out there looking for and looking on. But before I go and ask for their commitment, say, hey, here's a list of all the things, and I walk them through this, whole page of a huge list of all these different things that I'm going to be doing to work hard for them to ensure that their real estate goals are met. Then from there, I transition into getting the buyer broker agreement signed. So my transition there is, hey, look, during this time frame, I am not saying that you got to buy a house. You are not obligated to go out there and buy a property. All this is saying that if you choose to buy a property within X time frame, that you're choosing to commit to utilizing me and my services if in the event you move forward with purchasing a property. So then boom, we get that sign. And I'm telling you right now, I was doing a company team training. This was about a month ago, and I had about 4 of my agents that have been with me for 10 plus years that are all, seasoned, high producing agents. And I kind of put them on the spot because I wanted all my newer agents to hear this. I was like, man, what's the percentage of the time that you don't get somebody to sign a buyer broker agreement? And they all came up with pretty much the same answer. Like, well, it's kind of non-existent. Like, pretty much everybody signs one. Like, if they had, one of the gentlemen was like, hey man, if I had to put, like a number to it, it's maybe 1 out of 400. And in the event they're not willing to sign one, it's usually a good thing, right? It's a red flag. Like, you get that occasional person that's, hey, I'm not willing to commit to anybody. I just want to go with the first person that's find that property for me. Look, some of your success throughout your career is going to be dependent on those that you say no to and that you turn down, right? If somebody's not going to commit to me at a high level, I'm not going to commit to go doing and busting my ass and doing all the work that I do for them up front that it takes to, be a true professional. Hopefully I know that all of you listening and watching this GSD Mode podcast are true professionals. That's why you're here. So not everybody maybe deserves to go out there and get paid on a buy side transaction, but I know you and I are. So we want to make sure that this is honed in, dialed in, compiled, put together, making sure that you are practicing it. And here's the cool thing is, even though your buyer broker agreements, all of our buyer broker agreements are going to be changing, we can start with the ones that we have in place right now. Right. So this, at least you're starting to get in the reps. You're not having to wait until August 17th rolls out and then start dialing this stuff in. All you're going to have to do then is just switch up a tiny explainer on the actual buyer broker agreement, talking about buyer, the buy consultation or the fee structure of what that looks like, whatever slight, like I've already seen with the Arizona buyer broker agreement that's getting rolled out. And it's like, look, it's going to be a very simple explainer change of how we're going to shift our scripting onto that. Now I'm speaking from a place of theory here, but I see very little disruption on getting that signed versus how we're doing it right now. Like, it's very, very minuscule. But if you articulate your value and you nail this right, you're not going to be met with a lot of resistance. And I can tell you this right now, like, the resistance on getting a buyer broker agreement signed is a hell of a lot less than getting a listing agreement signed, even though getting listing agreement signed is pretty damn easy, if you have a world-class listing presentation dialed in. So get number one, first thing is because this is going to be one of the biggest, most significant changes throughout all of this whole NAR stuff, is get this dialed in. And like I said, don't just get it dialed in. Start getting your reps and practicing it 3 times every single day. And then as you start doing your buyer consults right now, start implementing this now. Because as of right now, we've got roughly 3 months to ensure that we're prepared. So you're going to be able to get in a lot of reps before this becomes, a mandatory thing inside of all of our markets. Okay, so step number 2 to ensure that you're prepping and planning for this at the highest level, and this one will be a little bit quicker, but dialing in your listing presentation, because I'm going to talk about this in one of these future steps, is that, look, I think that going after the listing side is going to become that much more important. Now, am I abandoning the buy side of my business? Hell no. Right? We're still doing all the things that we've been doing. We're still cranking out open houses. We still have, a Team Zillow account. We're still doing paid Facebook leads. We're still, still got our past client sphere of influence, business coming in. We're still doing YouTube. We're still doing a lot of different things to go out there and get buyer consultations, and still having 20 plus buyer closings on the buy side every single month within my team here in Arizona. So we're not abandoning those things, but with the NAR stuff rolling out, with the DOJ stuff on the back side of that, if the DOJ gets what they want, which I'm not going to go deep into here in this podcast because I talked about it on a lot of recent podcasts out there, there is a probability that buyer agency could be massively disrupted. So I really want to have in this skill set dialed in, right? So making sure that you got your listing presentation dialed in, but then part of that listing presentation dialed in, and again, I'll be quicker on this point because I know that this is more common sense for us, but making sure that you are prepared for the seller conversations right now. Because and you guys have heard me talk about this a lot in the podcast, since all this rolled out several months ago, but it's like, we got 2 things here. We got the changes that we are preparing for, August 17th, that's happening, like we're talking about right here. But then, okay, in the consumer's mind, a lot of the consumer's mind, this stuff is already in place. This stuff already exists. So we got to be looking at that. Like, we just took our first listing about 2 weeks ago, that the seller refused to offer any element of buyer compensation, right? They just refused to do it. So then, like, we got to be prepared for what those conversations are. Now, we've been preparing for those, and my agent was prepared for those. We had those conversations on that. The seller still made the decision to not offer buyer any element of a co-broke, or still co-broke right now, but that will be changing in August 17th of how that's going to be displayed and changed. But not, so we articulated the reason as to why we felt they should offer that, but again, at the end of the day, the seller's the boss. Like, our clients are our boss. You get into business and you think that, I'm going to jump into business because I don't want to have a boss. Dude, you always have a boss, right? Like, to some extent, to some element, like your clientele, ends up being your boss. Now, then from there, we could have said no to that. No different in the fact of, okay, if you're talking to a listing that's overpriced, are you going to make the decision to take that listing or not? In this instance, my agent just made the decision to move forward with it and take it, and you can come up with your own conclusion on what you want to do there and in your business of that, but making sure that you're prepared for those conversations right now. Because with the consumer, whether they're listening to, Fox or CNN or whatever the media source that they're listening to, a lot of them think that this stuff already exists. So we want to be prepared for those conversations, how you're going to navigate those conversations, if you're going to offer that or recommend that as part of your listing presentation, like right now. And this could be subject to change, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not here to, quote unquote, collude in commissions or what to do. But in my opinion, and excuse me, throat's going out on me. In my opinion right now, and with this is just my opinion. I'm not a real estate attorney, but in my opinion, it's in the seller's best interest to still offer an element of buyer, a buyer co-broke, a buyer, a buyer rep agreement fee, like I'm in a market right now with 60,000 agents. So if they don't offer compensation, we're going to alienate those agents, alienate those buyers. So we have our scripting in place where it's like, hey, if your objective is to get your home sold in the quickest amount of time and ensure that you get top dollar, it's best to get all these agents and all their buyers working with and for us. So the more that we have exposure to your property, the higher the probability that we're going to get more offers in and get you a top dollar offer for your property. But at the end of the day, it's their choice. It's like I tell every seller or every buyer that I work with, that, hey, look, you're the boss. I work for you. I will always be upfront and honest with you, always give you my upfront opinion, my professional opinion on what I believe is in your best interest to ensure your real estate goals are met. But it's you don't have to take my advice. You don't have to listen to my opinion. At the end of the day, this is like, you're the boss. You're in full control. I'm here to do whatever I need to do to go out there and accomplish your real estate goals in the way that you want them done. Yeah, right now that doesn't mean that I take everybody on. That doesn't. I mean, I want to reserve. I want to reserve the right to turn them down, not the other way around. In these situations. Okay, so number two is making sure that you're getting that dialed in. You're prepared for that. Okay, so number three, a third thing that we can do to be preparing for this is making sure that you are getting your processes and systems refined and dialed in. So what and why is this important? This is going to create, these changes are going to create more work for all of us. And there is a high enough probability, not saying that this is going to happen, but through this, there's a high enough probability that commission compression will come down the pipe. Not saying that you've got to go out there and be a discounter, but if commission compression happens and we're starting to make less per unit, then the objective there is to be more efficient, effective, and efficient so we can do more in less time and spit out more units. Yeah, right. So if you got to go out there and start closing 4 properties a month to make the same amount of money that you were making at 2, okay, well, we still have limited amounts of hours in a day. So the more that your processes and systems are dialed in, the more effective and efficient you're going to be able to be, the higher your capacity is going to be. So then this way, you don't have to take a dip in income because of this. But either way, whether commission compression happens or not, this is going to create more work. So as an example, let's just say now that it can't be disclosed on the MLS through the co-broke field of what somebody's paying. Now here in the Arizona, in my market here in Arizona, they've released already the buyer broker agreement. So we've already seen the draft version of that. And in there and on there, now yours might be different. So I'm just giving an example here, but in and on there, there is a box to check and get our clients to sign off on of, okay, in the event the seller is unwilling to offer seller concessions to go out there and cover our fee is their buyer representative, do they want us to omit, this isn't the exact verbiage, but this is just stating what it says, with that is, so essentially we're getting their permission up front of, hey, do you just want us to omit these properties from showing you these properties? Well, if it's not on the MLS, what are we going to have to be doing? Reaching out or figuring out some other element of a system to identify, hey, is your seller offering concessions? Are you offering a buyer agent, agreement representation fee, for on this property? Is your seller willing to do that? Right. So then from there, like, okay, that's all of those things. It's not going to be just this display field where we know right up front what they're offering, how much they're offering, that little things like that are going to create more work for us when we have listings, but also on the buy side. So it's going to be that much more important to make sure that your processes and your systems are refined and dialed in, because it's going to give you a higher level output. Right. So systems and processes allow you to be more effective and efficient. So you increase your capacity and you become more productive. What are processes? Processes are just a step-by-step documentation of your overall strategies that you do inside your business. So anything you do more than once inside your business, you want to start building out a documented process for. Then those processes dictate and then live within our systems. Systems exist to ensure that our processes are done the same way each and every single time, to ensure things don't get missed, to ensure that we're doing them in the most effective, efficient manner. So getting those dialed in, so then that way you don't start stacking on. Let's just say it, creates 15% more work or 10% more work to go out there and do. Well, if you don't get your system process dialed in, it's just going to lower your capacity. You're gonna have a lower capacity where it's gonna make you do less amount of units in the same amount of time if you don't have these refined. So these are things that we can all start getting dialed in right now. Okay, so then number 4 is dialing in for the same reason that I just talked about, but really honing in and dialing in your over time management skills. Now, there is no such thing as time management, so I'm kind of contradicting myself here. You can't change the fact that there's 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. Comes down to choice management. So really refining, making sure that you are never entering a day without having it fully committed to paper first. Like you got your checklist, you're time blocking correctly. Most people, I very, very rarely meet anybody that has a real time issue. Most people think that they do. And I get it. I've been there too. But when we really start breaking these down, we do internal time studies, and then we start tracking your time and, seeing how much time is wasted, it's not that there's not enough time. It's that you're choosing to utilize your time on just shit that doesn't matter or inefficient ways, like choosing to utilize our team time in ineffective and inefficient ways. So really honing in and dialing in your overall skill set when it comes to time management. I've created lots of podcasts on that, so I'm not going to go deeper on that here. You can go check those out. If you just go to my, YouTube channel or go wherever you watch or listen to podcasts and just, do a search there, you'll see a bunch over the years of videos that I've done on time management. Okay, so step number 5 is to start prepping and planning for commission compressions. Now, I'm not saying that the NAR settlement is going to necessarily go out there and create commission compressions. But I don't think we should be naive to think that it can't or won't. I think that this will open up a lot of different models and a lot of different, potential outcomes there. Because the reality is most people won't do the work to show their value at a higher level. So then from there, then it becomes a race to the bottom for most, right? To go out there and win that business. And that's okay. When I say that, that's okay. I know that that's not what a lot of you want to hear, but it's like, look, dude, there's the Walmart and the Whole Foods in every market. You got the Toyota and you got the Mercedes. You got there's going to be discounters and full service in all different markets. I don't know what a cheap purse is, but you got Louis Vuitton, and then you got the $20 option, or you got the $5,000 option, right? That exists in every industry, but now we can start, because whether it's the NAR stuff or just due to technology, AI, whatever, like this is going to come eventually. So you might as well start prepping and planning for this stuff right now. Now there's 2 different paths that you can really take with this. You can take the path of, okay, I'm not going to, partake in this, and I'm going to go down the Louis Vuitton route, right? I'm going to go down the premium service route. I'm not going to go down the discount route. I'm going to go down the Louis Vuitton route. Okay, cool. You just got to make sure that your marketing is on point, your branding is on point, that you are articulating your value, that you're able to, deliver a better experience in a more convenient way. Like you got to somehow have a superior experience or a superior result that you are getting your customers, whether it's, getting them more money, getting them a better result, better deal, better negotiations, or making it much more convenient or a more enjoyable experience, whatever it may be. But the problem that so many in our industry have is they don't want to discount, but they don't want to do more than what discounters do, right? Or like they don't want to become of more value. They just want to charge more money. No, if you want to make more money, you got to become more of value. So that's a path that you can go down. And if you want to commit to that path, great. Now, if you're going to commit to the discount path, because have a different approach on this, because I've seen all different models work, man, in all different industries, including real estate. You can make a ton of money either path. So I'm not one that looks at these as right or wrong. But there's a right or wrong way to do it. So then if you are going to go down, the path where, okay, well, hey, man, I'm willing to go down that discount path. Okay, well, then from there, it comes down to volume of scale, right? So you got to make sure your systems and your processes and everything is just far refined so you can do more volume, right? So then, years and years, I didn't do this, but years and years ago, when all these discount models like your Redfins came out, I didn't know how this was going to, disrupt our industry. So I'm all about hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I went out there and mapped, okay, how can I, if I'm doing something similar to like a Redfin model, I never rolled this out. I never did it. I just, went out there and strategized, mind mapped this out and started building out some of the internal framework. Because again, hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I was like, okay, if this becomes a new norm, I want to make sure I'm ahead of the game. Now, luckily, I never had to go out there and deploy that, or I shouldn't say luckily, I just never had to, right? But got in my back pocket for the future. But even under a flat fee discount model, okay, I was like, all right, well, here's how I can still make multiple 7 figures on an annual basis by doing this. But we just got to be more effective. We got to be more efficient. Throughout this. So that's all something that we can all start prepping and planning for, because that is something that, again, whether it be through this NAR stuff or just through tech and AI, it's stuff that's going to be coming down the pipeline in the future, already is happening. So if you look at, it's happening slowly, but commissions 2 decades ago were higher than they are today. And then you can argue, well, prices are higher today. However, though, cost of living was a lot less back then. So we're actually making less right now, even though the commission check might look like it's more, or it is more, but cost of life has gotten astronomically more expensive as well. Okay, so then step number 6, the last step here of what you could be prepping for, is to add at least one listing niche where you are dialing this in and you are mastering this thing. Now, for most of you, you probably already have a listing niche or 2 listing niches or 3 listing niches and already going after niches, listing niches. So this is more geared for those that their business is very buy-based. So this is something I've been doing for over a year and a half now with my agents internally, that I have different departments in my side of my real estate team, and different agents focusing on different things based on their strengths and how they want to build their business. And I have a lot of agents that love focusing on the buy side. Also have a lot that love focusing on the list side as well. But an example of this, like one of my top agents, amazing at YouTube, amazing at social media, but all their business that comes in is buyer reload business. So over a year ago, it's like, hey, don't stop doing those things. Continue doing those things. Like do those till the wheels come off, man, until they get broken, disrupted, whatever. Like do what works and do more of what works. But in addition to that, just in case this goes sideways, let's at least add one listing niche. Spend 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, go targeting this listing niche with this process, this scripting. You'll stack at least one listing a month. So at least you have this skill set dialed in, and you're getting business from it, and you're rocking and rolling with it. So in case this other stuff gets disrupted, you're not having to rebuild and start from scratch. Right. So I highly encourage you guys to get at least one listing niche dialed in. And here's the cool thing is, right now, when we're here in 2024, it's the second easiest time that I've seen in my whole entire career to go out there and stack listings. It's so damn easy right now. Now you got to be very niche down, got to make sure that you have the right niche, so the right strategy, got to make sure that you have the right process and the right skill set. So you're using the right scripting, and you know how to have the right effective conversations. But if you do that, dude, it is so damn easy to go out there and stack listings right now in this marketplace. So, and if you want to, gain one listing a month, okay, that's about 30 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. Okay, you want to gain, 2 listings a month. Okay, that's about, an hour a day. You want to gain a listing a week. That's going to take you about an hour a day. Or no, I'm sorry, 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Start stacking one listing a week, and I'm just speaking if you're an individual agent, not, if you have a team, and whatnot with that. So it's easy to go out there and do, but stack at least one so you can start getting that skill set dialed in, just in case the event this stuff goes sideways. And I don't think that it's going to go sideways. Like, best case scenario, the NAR settlement proposal gets accepted, pushes through the DOJ, everybody's cool with it, and all these lawsuits, everything else gets shut down, goes away, and we're able to just do business as usual with the new NAR settlement proposal parameters. That's best case scenario that we have right now. And I hope that that's what takes place. I really do. Now I'm not saying that don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I think that these changes are good. I prefer it to be the way that it's been my whole entire career, but that's not an option right now. But then worst case, okay, if the DOJ, gets the way that they want, the DOJ opened up their own investigation 3 weeks after NAR came forth with their proposal statement, because they don't like this. To them, they want true commission decoupling. So you got seller paying listing agent, buyer paying buyer's agent. No way, shape, form, or fashion can the other compensate the other. Well, the DOJ is a very powerful organization, much more powerful than NAR. So the probability the DOJ gets their way, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying the probability they get their way is high enough for me to pay attention to this. So with that being said, here's a question that I just proposed to you to think about in your own business. Okay, how many of your buyer clients, with as high as prices are, with as, after down payment, with interest rates where they're at, after all of that, how many of them can afford their down payment, their closing costs, whatever they got to do to go get into real estate right now? And in addition to that, out of their own pocket, afford your buyer rep fee to help them and represent them through this? So just assess that. And just, okay, well, if the DOJ gets their way, and the seller can no way, shape, form, or fashion compensate, through concessions or whatever, offer buyer agent rep fee. Okay, well, the percentage of your buyers that you're like, hey, no, they could not do that. Okay, that's the percentage of buyers that you're probably not going to have anymore, through buyer agency or through the buyer rep side. So I don't know. My best guesstimate is what, like 90% of this goes away. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not trying to fear porn. I'm not trying to be Chicken Little, sky is falling. I'm extremely optimistic about the future. I truly believe we are amongst the biggest opportunity that any of us is ever going to see in the real estate industry. So there's a lot of opportunity to be had here, but I'm just dealing in realities on this stuff. How can I best position myself again, regardless of however these changes roll out, to make sure I'm in the best position to go out there and thrive? And one of the ways to do that right now is make sure that you are becoming a freaking badass at acquiring listings on the listing side with your, strategy, with your lead gen, your lead follow-up, your ability to go out there and deliver world-class listing presentation. Obviously, we have to have the ability to go out there and move that real estate and sell that real estate as well, but honing that skill set and dialing in that in. All right, so these are the 6 steps that you can start taking action on right now, that you don't need to wait till August 17th, that you can start doing right now today. And I highly encourage you to start taking action on this. I've said this multiple times throughout this podcast, but history favors he or she that's most prepared. So these are things you can start doing to be prepared right now. I'm going to end it with this. Again, if you are an individual agent, team leader, and brokerage owner, and your real estate business is not exactly where you want or need it to be, it's like you're operating down here, but your full potential is way up here, whether your business is declining, whether it's staying stagnant, whether it's growing, just not growing at the pace that you want it to grow at, and you just do not know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner. If that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. It's going to be a 1 hour long Zoom call with you and I. And we're going to do a deep dive into your business, your unique particular situation. We're going to break down where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals, dreams, and visions are for your real estate business, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are. Then from there, I'm going to map out, hey, here's my exact strategy that I recommend. If we were to switch shoes, if I were in your shoes, if we were to switch places, here's exactly what I would do to get you from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. I will make sure that you do not leave this free Zoom coaching call without having extreme full clarity on exactly what you must do to, again, get from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. So that is you, and you want to take full advantage of this. Go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Or wherever you're watching or listening, if you just scroll below top link, that should be a link to be able to book that, schedule that. Now, full disclosure, I spent 50 minutes doing exactly what I just talked about. Last 10 minutes, I'm going to spend a couple minutes walking through what my coaching program is, what it entails. And look, if it's a fit for you, cool. If not, that's okay too. We could still be friends. Everything I do is zero pressure. I'm not going to ask you to whip out a credit card. I'm not going to hard sell you. It's not my style. It's just like, hey, here's what I got. If it's something you want to move forward with, you just let me know. If not, that's okay too. I will make sure that this is a massive benefit, massive value to you. Like I said, you will not leave this free Zoom coaching call with not knowing exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. So you got nothing to lose, but everything, 100% everything to gain from booking this free coaching call with me. So www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. All right, you guys, keep up the amazing work. Keep crushing it. And I will see you next time. Peace.